Welcome to another edition of the CS Podcast, where you can hear interviews with special guests such as
Dayon Buchanan, Tom Waddle, Pierre Desir, Brent Berry, Ed Werder,
and many others.
Too big, too strong, too fast, too good.
So be sure to subscribe and tune in to the CS Podcast on YouTube at youtube.com/ChristianRE722.
Did you not get the memo?
That's www.youtube.com/ChristianRE722 for great interviews. Be sure to check out the CS Podcast.
You are ridiculous.
Welcome back to the CS Podcast. I'm your host, Chris Shanafelt, and I'm now joined by 2014 NFL Draft prospect, defensive lineman out of California University of Pennsylvania, Noah Taylor. Thanks for joining the show, Noah. How's it going?
Good, Chris. Thanks for bringing me on the show.
Hey, the pleasure's all mine. So we're going to be talking about your college football career, and I see that before attending California University of Pennsylvania, you actually went to Youngstown State. Coming out of high school, why did you feel that Youngstown State was the best fit for you?
Well, coming out of high school, my senior year of high school, the first game of my senior year, I ended up breaking my ankle. I had like a hairline fracture in my ankle, and I was out for about 5 weeks. And a lot of the D1, like big D1 schools, kind of dropped me off their radar because they thought I was basically out of it, and I was done. And when it got to be coming out to basketball season, the Youngstown State coach came in. And he thought I was a junior, and he actually recruited me or whatever, thought I was a senior, and they ended up finding out some scholarship money for me. So that was pretty much the only D1, even though it's D1 AA, it was the only D1 scholarship I had coming out of high school, just because of the fact that my injury, set me back my senior year. So.
And I see you didn't spend too much time at Youngstown State. I got to ask you, why did you decide to leave Youngstown State and transfer to California University of Pennsylvania?
One of the problems when I was there was I was there for 4 semesters, and in 4 semesters I had a different defensive line coach, a different defense, a different position, and a different defensive coordinator every semester. And it just kind of got to be to the point where enough was enough. And like my last semester that I was there, the new head coach came in, and he just housed. So I just kind of got to the point where I was like, you know what, I'm tired of being bounced around, and I just want to get to a place where I can actually, stay at one position, find my footing in the defense, and actually, start playing as opposed to trying to learn a new defense, a new position every semester. So.
Yeah, you mentioned so 4 semesters there, and when I was doing some research on this interview, I believe you actually had to change the defensive playbooks 4 times. Is that right?
Yeah, it was. We went from 3-4 to 4-3 to 4-2-5 to 4-4, and it was just kind of all over the place, and it just eventually got to the point where. It helped me out a little bit because it helped me learn to be able to pick up defenses quick. So, whenever I first got to Cal and they gave me the new defense, I learned the whole defense in probably about 2 weeks time, whereas taking other guys, the whole semester to learn the whole defense, and it's one of those things that it kind of helped me, but at the same time, you can't thrive in a position where you come to work every single day and your job title changes. You know what I mean? You throw out everything from what you knew before and start all over again.
It definitely sounds like you had a lot on your table at Youngstown State. And Noah, during your 31 games as a Cal Vulcan, you recorded 86 tackles, 9 tackles for loss, and 3 pass breakups. Overall, how would you describe your college experience? It sounds like there's a lot of ups and downs.
Well, when I first got to Cal, I was kind of, I was, the new guy, and I was kind of trying to find, my footing in the defense. And there was a couple seniors that were ahead of me, and they, so rightfully so, they were good players. It's not guys that I can honestly say at that point in time that I could have beat out for that position. But I definitely still could have got a little bit more playing time, but it was kind of just feeling my way out. Following year, I ended up tearing my ACL, so I was out for a whole year. So that kind of set me back. And then the year after that, I kind of had a little bit of a comeback year. And then my senior year, I was able to actually start and play and contribute a lot. And it's not that I didn't contribute in the previous years, it was either, injuries or I was, kind of behind other guys who were just more prepared than me. And it wasn't just from my standpoint, it's just because of the fact that they were more experienced from, playing and everything.
Yeah, when you got the opportunity to make the plays, when you're on the field, looking at your tape, it definitely looks as if you're out there making the plays. And you mentioned that torn ACL. I know it's been a couple of years. How's that? How's it treating you right now, though? I mean, does it feel fine?
Oh yeah, it's fine. It's it doesn't bother me at all. I can still run, jump, tackle people. I've been hitting it before. It's fine. I'm a couple years out. There's never really any pain with it. The only time I'd say it's kind of stiff is when it's, there's always these cold winter days, when it gets, to be the negatives. That's the only time it's really stiff, but that's when everything's stiff anyway, so I'm fine with it. I actually, the year that I tore it, I went through the first game of the year, and I tried to play on it, and it just, the next day, it swelled up too bad, and I went to the coach's office, and I just told him, I need to get surgery on it. I can't do anything with this knee. So, I just decided to get surgery, but it's fine now. It's not even, it doesn't, bother me at all right now, so.
Chris Shanafelt talking with 2014 NFL draft prospect, defensive lineman Noah Taylor. And Noah, I'm saying you're a defensive lineman because there's times when I'm looking at you on the tape, you're playing D tackle, you're playing D end. Is there a position that you prefer to play more than the other?
Well, I had to play some D tackle this year. We had a couple younger guys this year that weren't ready, and we needed guys to step up. So me and a couple of the other kids from my team some of the other defensive ends had to cycle in and out of playing a little bit of D tackle, a little bit of defensive end, but there's more, just doing it to fit in the scheme of the defense. You know what I mean? And obviously, I care more about the team more than to get 50 sacks and you lose every single game. That doesn't help anybody. But if anything, I definitely like playing defensive end a whole lot more than D tackle. That's a whole other world down in there, taking on double teams every single day.
Well, it definitely shows your versatility, so that's definitely a good sign right there. And Noah, recently you were in Baltimore to participate in the NFL Regional Combine, and just last week you flew out to Detroit to show off your skill set yet again in the NFL Super Regional Combine. How do you feel you performed in both of those events?
I feel like I did good. It's one of those things that, you never really know until you end up getting a phone call. So, the first one I did good enough, obviously, to get called up to the Super Regional in Detroit. So, I felt comfortable doing both of them. It's just one of those things that, you think, it's one of those things like kind of when you take a test, you think you did really good, but you really don't know until the results come out, and it's one of those things you kind of got to wait around. And you can have a good numbers on certain things, but it resulted, hey, you got picked up for a team or something like that. That's the result I care about. I don't care about how fast I ran or how high I jumped. It's one of those things like I'm here to play football. It's not so much how fast you can run and everything. So I feel like I did good enough though. So.
Well, of course, there's many NFL scouts that attended both of those events. Have you had the chance of talking to any of them? And if so, what are they saying about you?
I haven't talked to any of them yet. It's kind of one of those things that, and I've talked to some other guys who were there, and they from their word of mouth and from other people that I've talked to, it's kind of one of those things that you really won't know until they call you. Like if they're interested in you, they really won't show it. And at both events, at the Baltimore one, there isn't any scouts there. There's just the people that run the regional combines. And then at the Super Regional, all the scouts are there, but you usually see them twice. You see them when you do your height and your weight, and then you see them whenever you're doing your actual drills that day, but they're up in the stands, and you don't actually make any contact with them. So.
Chris Shanafelt talking with 2014 NFL draft prospect Noah Taylor. And just a few more questions, then I'll let you go. I really do appreciate your time, Noah. When did you find out that the NFL can not only be a dream, but it could become a reality?
When did I find out that? It's always been it's always been my dream. It's always been, something that even during the off season, I'm trying to, prepare myself that, for everything. So it's one of those things that, I felt like last year had a good enough year to obviously get noticed and get some tape out there. And it's one of those things that, you never really know unless you actually try. And hopefully in a month or so, I end up getting a phone call. But as of right now, you just don't really know too much,
And if you would compare yourself to a defensive lineman currently playing in the NFL today, who do you think that would be and why?
A current NFL defensive lineman. I don't know. I want to say I'm a guy that has a good motor and has a good nose for the ball. So it's hard to compare yourself to somebody who's already accomplished so much, in any sport. But if you think from a playing standpoint, I almost want to say kind of like a J.J. Watt kind of player, where obviously I'm not at his level, but it's just one of those things that the way he plays, where he's versatile, he can move around, and he's just one of those guys that he's always, no matter what, he's still going to get his. Like you can try and block him with 3 or 4 guys, and he's still going to make his tackles. He's still going to make his plays. Kind of guy.
Yeah, absolutely. Arguably the best defensive end in the NFL, so not a bad choice right there. And of course, there's a fun fact about you, Noah, and that is that you are the younger brother of former NFL great Jason Taylor. I got to ask you, what is it like, growing up, watching your brother have success in the NFL, and what is some of the advice that he has given you for you to use at the next level?
Well, it's one of those things I've been dealing with since as far back as I can remember. He's been playing football ever since I was probably 2 or 3 years old. So, growing up, it's always been, Jason's the older brother that's playing football. So, the best advice I'd probably say that he gives me, that he gave me, was just to it's one of those things that you just gotta leave it all out there. Don't sit there and second guess yourself. You just gotta be physical. You gotta be hungry and go, play every play like it's your last kind of thing. As opposed to guys that they're more worried about, getting theirs. Like they're more worried about getting stats or how many pictures did they take of me during the game. He's like, don't worry about that stuff. He's like, just keep your head on your shoulders and don't get bigger than you actually are. Bigger headed than you actually are. So.
All right, final question for you, and that is, let's say there's an NFL general manager out there listening to this very interview. Why should he want Noah Taylor, defensive lineman out of California University of Pennsylvania, on his team?
The one thing that I would probably say, guys can throw out a lot of attributes and everything like that, but the one thing I would say is I'm definitely a guy that's 100% hard worker, and I'm harder on myself than any coach could ever be. As far as so it's just one of those. It's going to be the first guy in and last guy out, and that's all I care about is football. I don't have any other. I'm not in it to get a whole bunch of chains or go get in trouble and stuff outside of football. I'm here to win football games and make myself and my teammates better. So.
Absolutely, man. Only 22 days away from the 2014 NFL Draft. Noah, I really do appreciate your time, man. It was a true pleasure speaking with you, and I'm wishing you nothing but the best. Before I let you go, is there anything you'd like to say to myself and our listeners?
Oh, no, just thanks for bringing me on the show, and hope you guys are having a little bit better weather than we are over there right now.
Oh, man, we're in the Windy City, man, Chicago. It just snowed. It just snowed. April 14th, it snows. What kind of crap is that?
It snowed here. It was 80 degrees 2 days ago, and it snowed yesterday. It doesn't make any sense, but, yeah.
Hey, man, football season's right around the corner. That's all we could ask for, right?
Yeah, that's all that matters.
Hey, no, I really appreciate your time, man. Keep in touch.
All right, no problem. I'll see you guys.
Thanks for tuning into the CS Podcast. I hope you enjoyed. Please check out all of my past interviews at www.youtube.com/ChristianRE722. Once again, that's www.youtube.com/ChristianRE722. And be sure to follow me on Twitter at Chris Shanafelt.